Bill O'Reilly here, Monday, March 23rd, 2020. You are listening to the O'Reilly Update. Here's what's happening today in America. Polls show most Americans support President Trump's virus response. Senator Rand Paul tests positive for the disease. Hawaii orders 2 weeks of isolation for all travelers. German Chancellor Angela Merkel under quarantine. Cases level off in mainland China. Also ahead, how the contagion really spread. But first, the fallout. 3 new polls show a majority of Americans approving of the president's outbreak policies. Surveys from Harris have Mr. Trump's approval at 56%, ABC 55%, Emerson 49% approving, 41% disapproving. The president saw similar trends during his impeachment trial earlier this year. Senator Rand Paul testing positive for the illness, the Kentucky politician confirming his diagnosis on social media, entering self-quarantine for at least 2 weeks. Mr. Paul currently showing no symptoms of the disease, but requested the test after meeting with constituents who may have been sick. At least 3 members of the House have also contracted the virus. Hawaii imposing a 14-day quarantine for everyone traveling to the islands, including residents. For 2 weeks, people are only allowed to leave their homes or hotels for medical emergencies or supplies like food and gas. Violating that order will cost you $5,000 in fines. German Chancellor Angela Merkel is in isolation after a recent contact with a doctor who tested positive. The European leader visiting the physician for an unrelated vaccination and checkup. Germany now the center of a major outbreak. More than 23,000 Germans have contracted the disease. Roughly 100 have died. Cases of the virus leveling off where the disease began. China reporting a big drop in new infections near Wuhan and the surrounding region. The communist regime slowing the spread with a series of drastic measures, including the forced quarantine of nearly 1 billion people, the largest in history. No fines in China. If you violate the orders, you go to prison. In a moment, a very important message of the day about the contagion that you should hear. Right back. Take the Omega XL 30-day test and put pain to rest. Bill O'Reilly here. You know that pain and stiffness in your back, neck, knees, or hips that never gets better? Tackle the root cause of your pain, inflammation. It's like a raging fire in your body. If you don't put it out, it can cause serious problems. That's why I take Omega XL, powerful natural supplement shown in 30 years of research to relieve joint and muscle pain caused by inflammation. Omega XL is a unique oil extract from green-lipped mussels from the pristine waters of New Zealand. It is safe, small, easy to swallow. So take the Omega XL 30-day test and put pain to rest. To get my special discount, please visit omegaxl.com/bill. Omega, the letters XL.com/bill. omegaxl.com/bill. Time now for the O'Reilly Update message of the day, the truth about the virus and how it will affect all of us. Terrorists the world over are watching the panic closely. As you may know, biological warfare has been a reality for decades. You may remember that Saddam Hussein expelled weapons inspectors from the UN after the 9/11 attack, which led directly to the Iraq War. Saddam's terror thugs, the Mukhabarat, had developed biological agents, but secretly destroyed the program before the invasion began, completely fooling Allied intelligence services. Today, many nations have developed virus weaponry, and terrorists would love to acquire the lethal bugs. COVID from China, sorry race baiters, has succeeded in severely damaging the worldwide economy and will eventually kill perhaps as many as 1 million people. There will, I believe, be a vaccine soon that will ease the disaster, but more and different viruses are coming. Now, some have speculated the Chinese actually spread the virus after it escaped from a research lab near Wuhan, but my investigation says that is false. In October 2007, clinical microbiologists at the University of Hong Kong released a report entitled SARS-CoV as an agent of re-emerging infection. The paper clearly states the danger. Quote, coronaviruses are well known to undergo genetic recombination, which may lead to new genotypes and outbreaks. The presence of a large reservoir of SARS-CoV-like viruses in horseshoe bats, together with the culture of eating exotic mammals in southern China, is a time bomb. Therefore, the need for preparedness should not be ignored. But it was ignored because governments are rarely proactive. Most countries owe enormous amounts of money, and the USA leads the league. Once we get out of this plague, America will owe close to $25 trillion. Few countries spend money on medical theories because they simply cannot afford it. So respirators and virus test kits were not stockpiled. Disease threats from the backwaters of China went largely unknown. And now the contagion rages. Corona will change many things in America, and here are just a few. The Second Amendment, guns, will be strengthened as self-protection rises. Socialism in the USA will be crippled as a vaccine will likely emerge from private drug companies, the ones demonized by Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Americans' partisan media will lose even more credibility over foolish and distorted reporting. Trust in the financial markets will plummet. Folks will not only hoard paper supplies, they'll lockbox cash. Summing up, many people will suffer in many ways because primitive fools ate infective bats in China. Evil people are taking notice. I'm Bill O'Reilly, and I proved that message by actually writing it. For the best reporting on the plague, please go to BillO'Reilly.com. In a moment, something you might not know. It's shocking that your home can be stolen easily. Deborah learned that brutal lesson when thieves found her home's title online. They then forged the document to appear she sold her house, but she didn't. The criminals borrowed thousands using Deborah's home equity. She didn't even know she was a victim until foreclosure and eviction notices arrived. She spent a fortune trying to get her home back. The FBI now calls home title fraud one of the fastest growing crimes, but you can avoid a possible nightmare by protecting your home with Home Title Lock. Neither your homeowner's insurance nor your bank protects you. For pennies a day, Home Title Lock will. Find out if you're already a victim of home title fraud. So please register your home at HomeTitleLock.com and enter BILL, B-I-L-L, for 1 month of free protection. That's BILL for 1 month free at HomeTitleLock.com. Now the O'Reilly Update brings you something you might not know. The current crisis is impacting the lives of every single American, as we said. From New England to Hawaii, tens of millions of us have been ordered to stay home. Businesses are closed. We are most likely heading towards a major recession. Governors across the country, including Democrats like Gavin Newsom and Andrew Cuomo, are working with the president on everything from medical supplies, hospital beds, and face masks. That, of course, is a positive. But that doesn't stop the national media from hammering Mr. Trump and his administration. For example, the New York Times has labeled the disease the, quote, Trump virus. They've also misquoted the president, falsely claiming individual states are now, quote, on their own to find life-saving equipment, when the president actually said the feds will help, but the states are free to acquire what they need elsewhere. The New York Times colossally distorted the situation. Folks at MSNBC suggested the Trump Organization could seek a potential monopoly over any virus vaccine, adding the president may use a government bailout to save his hotels. There's no truth to any of that. The Washington Post's Beth Cameron informing readers that Mr. Trump gutted the CDC and dissolved the Pandemic Response Office before the outbreak. Not true. Then there's the racism play. Senior Biden advisor Simone Sanders said the president was spewing hatred by pointing out the disease originated in China. Apparently, Ms. Sanders has never heard of the Spanish flu, German measles, on and on. In Congress, Democrats have delayed a massive stimulus package to score political points. They are most interested in securing giveaways for Americans beyond the virus situation. For example, Congresswoman Cortez is calling for universal income. Elizabeth Warren, the total cancellation of student debt, all attached to the emergency virus bailout. And then there is the media. Fear-mongering is labeled by the press responsible journalism. But if you have a positive attitude, hope, then that is false hope. Most Americans are seeing through the ruse. As mentioned, the polls show an uptick in Mr. Trump's handling of the national emergency. Back after this. If you are 75 years of age or over, you're a member of what's called the silent generation. You were also born to parents who were part of the greatest generation, so you're a product of both. You quietly worked hard and were a big part in making America great. You took care of your family, made sure they remained secure by owning a life insurance policy. But perhaps you no longer need or can afford those premiums. If you're 75 or over and own a life insurance policy worth $100,000 or more, We Buy 75 will appraise it for you free, help you convert it to cash. Call 844-WE-BUY-75 or visit WeBuy75, There's no better feeling than having all the cash you need for your necessities. So don't stay silent. You've seen and heard We Buy 75 on TV and radio. Please call 844-WE-BUY-75, 844-WE-BUY-75, or visit WeBuy75.com. Call or visit WeBuy75.com today. Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.